So, my response to the article about Sarah Glover, how about musical cartwheels? A symphony in 14 movements? Or a new Broadway musical entitled, Sarah, Where Have You Been All My Life? The ETM course in Corvallis in 1981 was the first time I had ever sung the Pachelbel canon. Over 100 of us wandered past one another, connecting our voices, our eyes, ourselves, while moving our hands to the Kerwin signs. It was a life-transforming experience. I led the canon at many workshops and classes after that, repeating it thousands of times as I taught the parts. A few years later, I went out for my morning jog while on tour in Salt Lake City. As the Pachelbel canon ran through my inner hearing and I ran through the city streets, I was suddenly amazed and delighted that I could sing the whole song with all the solfa from memory. I am a lover of solfa, a sometimes semi-crazed solfa maniac. I've proselytized solfa to my young students, my colleagues, the women in my choruses and camps. I've written solfa rounds in modes, led solfa improvisations, and used solfa to transcribe my own compositions. I've traded staff paper and tape recorders for 7 letters with subscripts and superscripts on random pieces of paper. I have moved that lovable, movable dough thousands and thousands of times. I was the inspiration by which a friend transformed the 60s page boy Kerwin hand sign woman from the Langness handout into a spiked hair androgynous singer wearing a t-shirt with a peace sign. I added my own cadre of solfa singers with various hair lengths and skin colors to the solfa illustrations in You Can Sight Sing, my instruction book, which includes rounds in all 7 modes and a Mixolydian symphony for solfa maniacs. Do you think I was excited about the article about Miss Sarah Glover? Holy cow! The Tonic Solfa system with its movable dough was actually brought into being by an English woman in the early 1800s. When Miss Sarah Glover, the daughter of the rector of St. Lawrence Church in Norwich, was asked to teach music to her father's congregation, she knew that no amount of dry theories and rote memorization and pounding of notes on the piano could teach music. If one wanted beauty and musicality to transport souls closer to heaven in a house of worship, one needed to begin with real voices and the experience of singing. She began by teaching children. She worked out simple steps to help them connect musical symbols with their singing sounds. When her sister's piano student couldn't read his notes, she pasted the letters on the keys. When that turned out to be an inflexible system for playing in different keys, she recruited the solfa syllables from Guido d'Arezzo, anglicized them, and never turned back. She unlocked the door to musical literacy and musicality with her Tonic Solfa system. She built the Norwich Solfa Ladder and the user-friendly glass harmonicon. Her choirs became renowned for their beauty. She published a guide to singing which explained her tried and true ways for other choir directors and music teachers. She said, "I think it is best to instruct them on the same principle as they are taught speech. That is, by deducing theory from practice rather than practice from theory." Does this Sarah Glover attitude sound familiar? Does solfa resonate? You know, it all might have been lost to us or possibly appeared in a later century had not one of Miss Glover's books been passed on to a young Sunday school teacher named James Kerwin in 1841. He was desperate to learn how to teach music to children. In short order, he found that Miss Glover's ways really worked. The Norwich Solfa system brought him success in his teaching quest. However, rather than credit Miss Glover and express his gratitude, he usurped her teaching wisdom without much in the way of acknowledgement or compensation. Although we now credit a man who is probably a thief with the Tonic Solfa system, I will concede that he made a great contribution when he added the hand signs. 200 years later, we sing the solfa syllables with hand signs and probably don't sniff even the slightest trace of conflict. But, Miss Sarah Glover, it is time for your name to come out of obscurity. Dr. Peggy Bennett thought so 30 years ago and wrote the article in the 1984 Journal of Research in Music Education. I loved reading it. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. We may think that we've forgotten Miss Sarah Glover, but she lives on. She lives on. Every time we sing fa sol la, she lives on. She lives on. In Norwich, England, about 1815, church choirs were noisy and incompetent. What a scene! But Sarah's choirs were known for their glorious sounds. People came from miles around to hear them sing. Ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, ti, do. Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi. Sing either line now. Re, mi, fa, do, re, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, do. Re, mi, fa, do, re, sol, la, ti, do, la, sol, ti, la, sol,
I feel certain that our dear Sarah, as I call her, Sarah.
Sarah?
I was
Sarah.
in Texas at the time. Sarah.
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah. I feel certain that she has never had such a proud moment as this. Yes, yes. Thank you, Judy.